everybody, Wayne Calvert here, and welcome to week 2 of the Adelaide 6-hour run project. If this is the first time you've actually seen one of my videos, go and check out week 1. It will get you up to date and see what we're actually trying to achieve here. So just to run it down, I'm basically entered in the Adelaide 6-hour event, which is in June the 8th, I think it is. My goal is to run 80 kilometers in the allotted 6-hour time. It's a 2.2 kilometer loop track in the city. You basically just keep running until you get the most Ks that you can get in 6 hours. So to achieve that, I've got to look at doing 4:30 pace for the entire 6 hours. Don't stop. My family will be crewing me, so shouldn't be any reason to stop. You've got to just go for it, send it, and see how we go. So that's the goal. So what I'm actually looking at doing is between last week and a race, I want to break down each week, go through with all of you guys what each week is looking like. At the moment, I'm right at the end of my workout phase. As I explained, the BWS theory, that's one that I've got myself. It's base building, then you go into the workout stage, then you go into the sharpening stage. So right now I'm at the end of the workout stage. What that means is each week, my prime focus is the workout. So I focus on the actual speed session or threshold session, on hill sprints or longer tempo repeats, and the long run. They're the focus. Outside of that, everything's just predominantly recovery or easy running. But then I'll get into the sharpening phase, and that starts at the end of next week, which we'll get into when I'm there. So what did I do this week? Well, this week, start with, I didn't hit my goal target of 140 Ks. I fell well short of that, and I'll explain that as I go through. Is it a concern? Yes, it is, because to be doing the pace I want to do for 6 hours, you can't get there just doing 90 Ks, 80 Ks, 100 Ks, 110 Ks. I've got to be consistently hitting the targets that I need to. And last week's target was 140 Ks. And I fell well short of that because of the pace test run that I did. So basically I started off Monday, was going really well, cracker of a threshold workout, and that was the Mona fartlek. Absolutely loved it. Son came out on my bike, the daughter came out, she wanted to watch as well, and it was going absolutely awesome until my daughter locked the keys in the car. And that did not go well. And that just threw my entire speed session into disarray. I finished the speed workout, but it kind of cut everything short. I didn't really want to go. It wasn't easy. I had to get my son to ride. He had to ride 3 Ks back to the house. This is at 6:30, 7 o'clock in the morning. So he had to ride home, get the key, a spare key, come back, and and then we could deal with that. So that wasn't a fun start to the session. But that's where I started. So on Tuesday, just did some easy running, endurance building, 25 kilometers. A lot of people often think, well, how's that easy? When you are running longer distances, it's in comparative. So I always say to people, it's compared to where you're at. So if you're doing, say, 60 kilometers a week, a long, easy run for you might be 15 kilometers. But if you're doing 150 kilometers a week, easy running for you should really be easy, 20, 25 kilometers easy, and it's just something you're doing and ticking over the kilometers. So that sort of left me Monday and Tuesday. I was going to do a pace test, a 50 kilometer race pace test out at Penrith Lake. So I thought, you know what, I'll give myself a couple of days rest, just to rest the legs. How did we go? Well, Friday, went out there, started off really well. It was going great, felt great all the way through to about 30 Ks, 32 kilometers, and my left calf just started to tighten up a little bit. By the time I got to 36, it was slowly getting tighter and tighter. And there's one thing I've learned after all these years of running. If something's tightening up and half an hour later it's getting tighter and tighter, it's not a good indicator. Now, if you're in a race, I would say, and I always say to myself, just try and work it through and see how it goes, because you're in a race. But when you're in training, I'm a big believer that says if it's not getting better or just staying the same in a training run, I pull it short. And most people would sit there and think, oh, well, you're shorting, you're pulling out, oh, where's your toughness? It's not about that. I don't want to risk an injury when I've still got 8 weeks to go, because if you do something and you risk it, you injure yourself, and you're out for 3 weeks. There goes your training. I mean, the critical part of your training is gone. So for me, I started to realize, well, I'm going to have to cut this short. I'm not going to hit the 50Ks. So what can I do? Well, I managed to get into 42Ks. And if you had a look at the splits, you can actually tell that I was still holding my pace. So it wasn't about, oh, I couldn't hold my pace and, I'm slipping out to 435, 440s. No, I was holding my pace and I was doing really well. So my legs felt great. But what made it worse is at about the 37K, it was tightening up a little bit. And I thought, I could potentially manage that. But then the right hamstring started tightening up. And that's because I'm compensating from my left calf is getting tight. So I'm compensating and loading up the right hamstring or the right leg, and I'm out of balance. That's where you start to realize this is not good, not for a training run anyway. So I cut it short, 42 kilometers, might as well just get a marathon done. You're out there, did that in 3 hours and 7 minutes. So I was happy. The one big thing I took out of that, not just hitting the pace and knowing I could get that done, it was the fact that I thought, I've got a marathon to run in July, just to see where I'm at with my marathon pace. That training run tells me I'm probably sitting around a 2:55 marathon. So I'm actually, my last marathon I did was 2019 competitively. I came second on that one and I did 2 hours and 58, something like that. I can't remember the exact seconds, but that was my PB. That's my best. Now that was 5 years ago and I was 43 years old. I'm 48 now and I'm actually in a better fitness and better performance, and I'm feeling much better about my running and a better condition than I was 5 years ago. So as I'm getting older, I'm feeling like I'm actually getting into better shape. So then, I basically spent the rest of the afternoon on Friday just massaging, a couple hours in the spa, hot 40-degree spa, and just foam rolling, stretching. And then Saturday, I went out and I just did an easy recovery run, spent the rest of Saturday foam rolling, doing everything I could to foam roll, stretching, wanted to do a second run. I knew now that if I didn't get out last night and do a second run, the wheels start falling off on your volume. You just can't catch it up from there. And I couldn't get out and do a second run. Honestly, my legs were too tired, the calves were still tight, and I just couldn't, not in the evening. So I thought, okay, this is really putting me under the pump now. I knew I was going to have to do 40 kilometers today, and I'm thinking, oh my goodness, how am I gonna do that? So I went out this morning, did 22 kilometers. I was feeling a little bit better. The legs were starting to come better. So I did 3 by 5K at race pace and then rest easy running. And then I thought, the pressure's on because now I really have to get out there and do an evening run. Otherwise, I'm not going to get my volume. So just kept taking it easy. Had another spa this afternoon while watching the Grand Prix, the Chinese Grand Prix. And then after the spa, I thought, the legs, are they fresh? If I go out and do a run tonight, which is Sunday night, how's that going to affect me for my threshold session tomorrow? So I thought, just leave it. That finishes my volume at 117 kilometers, which is 23 Ks less than my target. And that's not good. That has me concerned. So really, when it comes to things like that, I've got to lift my game for the next 6 weeks or 5 weeks and keep that volume as high as I possibly can. I should be entering into May doing 150 Ks a week. So we'll see how we go. Going to really focus, the next week is focused. My goal next week is obviously to try and do another 50K pace test. I've got to see how I pull up, see how I recover, and give it a go. So we'll see how that goes. At the moment, other than the weekly volume, I feel like I am in good shape and I am on good track, but I'll really start to press that button and test that when we get to the sharpening phase at the end of next week. So I hope that serves you well, and I hope you guys all have an awesome week, and I'll see you in the next one.